There's one Photoshop technique that instantly improves the quality of your editing and injects every photo with more wow factor than ever. And you can harness its powers in just 10 minutes, even if you're a total Photoshop beginner. So in this video, I'm showing you what it is, how it improves every photo you edit from now on, and how you can start using it by the end of this video, no matter your current level of Photoshop experience. Plus, I'll show you how you can use this same technique to easily blend bracketed exposures and create stunning HDR images in just a few simple clicks. But first, one of the biggest problems this technique fixes is a mistake that I still see a lot of photographers make with their editing, which leads to sloppy, amateurish looking results. Take this for example, when Albert Bierstadt painted his famous Yosemite Valley scene, creating that beautiful bright light coming in from the distance, he didn't just take a massive brush and cover that whole area with a lighter paint in one big dollop, did he? No, he carefully and precisely painted exactly what he wanted to see, exactly where he wanted to see it. Now it kind of sounds ridiculous saying it out loud, right? But I mean, of course, that's how it works. However, making massive sweeping adjustments is how many photographers edit their photos when adding brightness, contrast, saturation, etc. in Photoshop. When a better approach is to treat our photos like painters treat their paintings by making small, focused adjustments only where those adjustments are needed. Now, if you don't have it yet, I made a free tool that you can download to make this whole process super easy, and I'll show it to you in a second. But first, it's useful to know how the technique works so that when you do use it, you can harness its full power to create stunning images. So let me show you what it can do first so you can see just how powerful it is. We'll use a curves adjustment layer for this example, and we'll make it brighten the image by pushing the curve upwards like this. Now, every adjustment layer comes with its own layer mask, which you can use to show or hide the adjustment in certain areas. And a common way to use this would be to, say, click on the mask, invert it by pressing Command or Control I on the keyboard, which completely hides the adjustment, and then take a white brush on a low opacity and brush into the image to reveal the adjustments in just those areas that you're brushing. But there's a big problem with doing it this way, and that is that your adjustments can only be as accurate as the size of your brush. Now, if you want to adjust a tiny detailed area like this, then you need to use a really tiny brush and spend who knows how long getting it perfect. What I'm about to demonstrate easily eliminates this problem entirely, because instead of trying to brush accurately with a big dumb brush into a delicate detailed area, loading something called a luminosity selection gives you the equivalent of a stencil that you can brush through to make sure the paint only goes where you want it to go. Now, it's called a luminosity selection because it's based on the luminosity or brightness of the image itself, and that is exactly how you can use it to accurately target a specific tonal range like shadows, midtones, and highlights with your adjustments. So let's run through a quick example and then I'll break it down into specific step-by-step instructions. Suppose we want to make 3 adjustments to this image. 1, we want to lighten the darkest shadows underneath the rocks over here. 2, we'll add some contrast to the midtones in the image, avoiding the brightest highlights and the darkest shadows so they don't over or underexpose. And 3, darken these bright highlights in the sky to recover some detail and color. So on the left side of the screen, I'll show you how anyone doing this the manual way would have to do it. And on the right, I'll show you how to do it 10 times faster with my free Photoshop plugin, which, like I said, you can download from the link in the description and pinned comment. Right, so first adjustment, press the brighten button on the plugin, invert the layer mask with Command or Control I, and then I'll press the button for the darkest shadows on the plugin to load my stencil. And then I'll brush through this stencil with a white brush into the area that I want to paint this effect into, noticing how even though I'm brushing over the edges into the lighter areas, the brush isn't affecting those areas because the stencil keeps the brush within its bounds. So second adjustment, this time I want the adjustment to affect the midtones across the whole image. So I'll click the midtones button first, and then I'll click the contrast button, and job done. Easy, right? So third adjustment, I'll press the darken button to darken the image, invert the layer mask, and then I'll press one of the highlights buttons to load my highlight stencil. And again, we can brush through this time with a white brush to reveal the adjustment in the area that I'm brushing in just the highlights, knowing that the stencil is going to restrict my brush to those lightest highlights. The same technique is also the best way to blend bracketed exposures in Photoshop to create stunning high dynamic range landscapes. For example, if you have 2 bracketed exposures, each one on a separate layer, to blend them together into one, just add a layer mask to the top layer, invert it, click, in this case, a highlights button on the plugin, and then brush through that selection that gets loaded, or stencil, to reveal the properly exposed sky from this top layer. And now that's going to blend it with the properly exposed foreground on the bottom layer. So if you want to download the free plugin that puts all of these powerful luminosity masking techniques in your hands with just a few simple clicks, then you can get it from the link in the description and pinned comment. Or if you want to see 3 more easy ways to instantly improve your landscapes, watch this next video.